Good morning and welcome to World News here on TVP World. I'm your host, Diana Skye. Russia continued its attacks on Ukraine overnight with some strikes involving the use of guided bombs, according to Ukrainian air defense. The cities of Kharkiv, Sumy and Zaporizhzhia were among those targeted. Now, according to early reports, a strike on Sumy damaged a gas station and railway infrastructure. This footage shows first responders securing the area. As of now, 2 people are reported to have been injured in the attack. No deal, no missiles, and a lot more questions than answers. Talks between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and President Donald Trump ended without the results Ukraine was hoping for. Zelenskyy had sought a deal for U.S.-made long-range Tomahawk missiles, but negotiations are still in progress. Our Ukraine correspondent Alex Cadier reports.
Well, the Ukrainian leader went to Washington with one key request. He wanted long-range missiles like Tomahawks, those more than 1,000-mile range missiles, to be sold to his country to be able to strike deeper into Russian territory. He also explained why he thought Ukraine needed them.
I think that Russians are afraid about Tomahawks, really afraid, because it's a strong weapon. And they know what we have, what kind of weapon we have, our production, and they understand that combination with Tomahawks, because we speak about it. We don't speak about Tomahawks like Tomahawks. We need combination, and that's why they're afraid of this combination.
But the answer from the U.S. president was no. He will not be selling those long-range missiles to Ukraine, at least not for now. We understand from reporting from Axios that the meeting between the two leaders was tough. One source familiar with the meeting said that Donald Trump was tough with the Ukrainian leader, a meeting described by some as being rather emotional. It lasted around 2.5 hours and was stopped rather abruptly by the U.S. president, saying, "I think we're done. We'll see what happens next week," referencing, of course, his potential meeting with Vladimir Putin of Russia, the man who started the invasion of this country back in 2022. There is a clear sense that the U.S. president, who had been shifting towards more support for Ukraine, now feels that arming Ukraine with long-range missiles could hurt a potential diplomatic solution to this war, something that is not viewed with much understanding here in Ukraine. Ukrainians feel very clearly Vladimir Putin has no desire to end his invasion of their country. Nevertheless, the diplomatic dance will continue. There will be more pressure on Ukrainians and on their troops as the winter looms. President Zelenskyy still striking a hopeful tone. He hopes he can convince the U.S. president to keep supporting Ukraine. In Kyiv, I'm Alex Cadier for TVP World.
And as we just heard from our correspondent's report, the diplomatic dance is not over. The Trump-Zelenskyy meeting in Washington brought no major breakthroughs in the U.S. support for Ukraine. Now, with no Tomahawks on the horizon, there is a growing uncertainty in Kyiv ahead of this planned Budapest summit between Donald Trump and his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin.
Russia launched at least 300 drones and missiles in another massive strike on Ukraine on Friday night.
President Trump, sir.
The attack came hours after U.S. President Trump welcomed his Ukrainian counterpart, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, at the White House. The two leaders discussed a possible transfer of Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. The day before the meeting, Trump held a fresh phone call with Russia's Putin. The US and Russian presidents agreed to meet in Budapest. The call between both leaders appears to have pushed Ukraine further away from making a deal on Tomahawks, experts say.
And I think this is Putin signaling that nothing much is going to change, even though he's bought this 2 weeks for himself.
Putin said that it will mean escalation and will lead to worsening of Russian-American relations. It seems that Trump has got this message.
President Zelenskyy. Right after the meeting, European leaders, together with NATO Secretary General, spoke with the Ukrainian president and reaffirmed their strong support for Ukraine, while calling for more pressure on Russia.
I reiterated our unwavering commitment to Ukraine in the face of Russian aggression. The UK will continue to send humanitarian aid and military support.
One thing is absolutely clear. Europe's solidarity with Ukraine against Russia's aggression is today more important than ever before.
President Zelenskyy has the full support of Germany and our European friends on the path to peace.
During the meeting with Zelenskyy, the US president also expressed hope that the war be resolved through diplomatic means and the delivery of missiles could be avoided. However, Ukrainians themselves doubt that diplomacy will bring a quick and fair end to the war.
The world has been turned on its head. Nothing is as it seems. They say one thing and do another, but we, the people of Ukraine, are suffering under the shelling. Unfortunately, the world is ruled by force, so I believe that this war will end one way or another. Sadly, this will be achieved by force.
Ukrainian politicians believe that the key to peace lies in Europe.
I think that Europe also should be realistic on USA and understand that we are together have also to do more, not to wait what USA that they can deal with Putin.
As long as Ukraine and Europe stick together, and the rest of Europe stick together, no one, neither President Trump nor President Putin, will be able to break them.
The meeting between Trump and Putin will take place in Budapest in the next 2 weeks. While it could bring a breakthrough in the war in Ukraine, it might just be another red carpet moment for Putin. For TVP World, Anastasia Yanchenko.
Now, that recent meeting between Trump and Zelensky definitely showed two different perspectives on the issue of using Tomahawk missiles in the war in Ukraine. TVP World's guest John Sweet explained this further in an interview. Let's listen in.
From Trump's perspective, I believe he used it as leverage in which to get Putin's attention. And it got Putin's attention because he got a phone call from Putin shortly thereafter, as soon as he announced the possibility of providing those weapon systems. Now, for Zelensky, it was more of a kinetic type of response that would allow him to strike deeper into Russia, to hit those targets, ballistic missile launch locations, airfields, and also drone assembly production sites. So for him, it was a kinetic type of leverage, but for Trump, it was more of a leverage to get Putin to the table. And for President Trump, obviously, he achieved that with his telephone call.
Estonians head to the polls on Sunday to vote in local elections. It's the first election since the country passed legislation excluding non-EU citizens from voting. Over 30% of ballots were cast within the first 5 days of advance and online voting. However, nearly 72,000 residents, mostly Russian speakers, lost their right to vote after Estonia banned non-EU citizens from participating in local elections earlier in March. Lawmakers justified the move as a national security measure amid rising tensions with Moscow, arguing that only Estonian citizens should have a say in local governance. The elections conclude on Sunday, and local government councils will be elected to 4-year terms. The annual Arctic Circle Assembly in Iceland's capital, Reykjavik, concludes today. Melting ice caps and the growing presence of China and Russia in the region pose challenges NATO will have to confront, according to Admiral Giuseppe Cavodragone, the chair of the NATO Military Committee, who spoke exclusively to TVP World on Saturday.
This is a free area, and we want to keep it that way. And there will be, I'm assuming there will be some confrontation. There will be some position that will put Russia and China in front of NATO. But we need probably to increase our presence over there, and we need to exercise the right level of deterrence.
Polish border guards have discovered a 20-meter tunnel running beneath the border with Belarus. This finding suggests Minsk has not abandoned its efforts to destabilize NATO and the European Union through illegal migration.
What may at first glance look like a tunnel hollowed out by an animal is actually the latest sign of a hybrid warfare waged by Russia and Belarus against NATO's eastern flank. The outlet of the tunnel was uncovered by the Polish border guard some 20 meters into Polish territory near the northeastern village of Kondratki. The discovery comes amidst the ongoing migration crisis fabricated by the Minsk and Moscow regimes since 2022. The tunnel was meant to be used by illegal migrants to cross into Poland undetected. In response to the crisis, NATO's eastern flank nations moved to significantly fortify their borders. While Poland continues to work on completing its Eastern Shield project, Latvia too is moving to consolidate its border protection.
With construction going on along the entire eastern border, we'll definitely reach a point where practically no one will be able to cross undetected. Right now, patrolling is certainly the main way we ensure the security of the border. After the border infrastructure is completed, we will switch to early detection, as I've mentioned.
The upgrades on Latvia's border are part of the so-called Smart Border program and are carried out in cooperation with the EU.
We are supporting as much as we can financially, of course, also with Frontex being present if the member states want Frontex to be there. So yeah, it can always be more, of course, but that's why our cooperation is so important.
In terms of what the fortifications will include, the Latvian Ministry of the Interior emphasizes the need to adapt to the new threats posed by Russia to NATO.
You've certainly heard about the initiative on improving various drone capabilities. And of course, in addition to this project, the Ministry of Defense is implementing anti-mobility measures along the entire length of the border. So in effect, there's also a very clear signal from the Commission that there will be support for drone technologies, support for their use on the border.
For TVP World, Zuzanna Jurek.
Some of Iceland's top bomb disposal experts are training Ukrainian soldiers in Lithuania, according to the Icelandic Coast Guard's Chief of Operations. Our correspondent Kazimierz Wyszak visited their headquarters in Reykjavik and has this next report.
Iceland's Special Operations Unit, which falls under the Coast Guard, has some of the best trained officers, and they specialize in disarming bombs. While they mostly deal with unexploded ordnance from the Second World War here on the island, they also nowadays use their knowledge to train Ukrainians. TVP World got special exclusive access to the headquarters of the Coast Guard here in Iceland, and their Chief of Operations told us how they are sharing their experience with the Ukrainian soldiers defending their country.
We're on a regular basis with two people in Lithuania training Ukrainians for bomb disposal. And each year here we have a big exercise called Northern Challenge, which is NATO EOD IED exercise. It takes about 2 weeks, and it's one of the bigger ones within NATO.
The Icelandic Coast Guard has their hands full with monitoring trade routes and ships near the island. They are also on the lookout for any suspicious activity, like for example from ships from Russia's Shadow Fleet. There is also the interest of US President Donald Trump in acquiring Greenland and the opening of new trade routes in the Arctic on the account of the ice caps melting because of climate change. All of that is putting the region and Iceland on high alert. Some analysts are saying that the Arctic is now entering a new Cold War. This means that the Coast Guard here in Iceland has to be as vigilant as ever. From Reykjavik, Kazimierz Wyszak, TVP World.
And that's all for this edition of World News here on TVP World. But don't go away. Up next, World Talks.